Hey, hope you are doing well today. So, guess what time it is? Oh, it's time for another children's lesson. Now, we're going to start off with an activity. Now, for today's activity, here's what you're going to do. Your parents are going to tell you to swim a certain direction. Now, you're not going to actually go out, to a swimming pool or pond to swim, but you're going to act like you're swimming. For example, they might say swim to the left. So you'll stay standing and you'll swim this way. Then they might say swim to the right. So you'll turn to the right and you'll swim this way. Now you can stay in place or you can move through your house. So I hope you have a great time doing this activity. So, you might be wondering, Justin, you have something on different. Oh, I do. I have a life vest and I have some sunscreen because I want to go swimming in a lake. But I'm not going to go swimming in a lake. But if I was going swimming in a lake, I would make sure I have my life vest on and that I have some sunscreen because I don't want to get burnt. Well, you might be thinking, Justin, do you swim? Yeah, I can swim. But if I was going to the lake, I would want to make sure that I had my life vest on because if I got tired or something happened, it would keep me above the water. And so it's very important to have the life vest. Now, some of you may be learning to swim, so you have a life vest or you have floaties, and that's good because you want to make sure that if something happened that you stay above the water. So life vest, floaties, they're good. They're good to have. So you might be thinking, well, why do you have this life vest on? Well, we're going to be talking about some people that walked on water. Now, last week, we talked about Jesus and how he fed the 5,000, how he had the 5 loaves and the 2 fish. And this is the craft from last week. And so after he fed the 5,000, he got his disciples and he told them to go into the boat. And then he had the crowds to leave, had the 5,000 people to leave. We're going to read this story. So it's found in Matthew chapter 14, verses 22 through 33. Immediately he made the disciples get into the boat and go ahead of him to the other side, while he dismissed the crowds. After dismissing the crowds, he went up on the mountain by himself to pray. Well into the night, he was there alone. Meanwhile, the boat was already some distance from the land, battered by the waves because the wind was against them. Jesus came toward them walking on the sea very early in the morning. When the disciples saw him walking on the sea, they were terrified. "It's a ghost," they said, and they cried out in fear. Immediately, Jesus spoke to them. "Have courage. It is I. Don't be afraid." "Lord, if it's you," Peter answered him, "command me to come to you on the water." He said, "Come." Climbing out of the boat, Peter started walking on the water and came towards Jesus. But when he saw the strength of the wind, he was afraid. And beginning to sink, he cried out, "Lord, save me." Immediately, Jesus reached out his hand, caught hold of him, and said to him, "You have little faith. Why did you doubt?" When they got into the boat, the wind ceased. Then those in the boat worshipped him and said, "Truly, you are the Son of God." So, as I said earlier, Jesus had just fed the 5,000. And now he had the disciples to get into the boat. So they got into the boat and they're on their way. But now Jesus, he is going up on the mountain to pray. And Jesus would do this a lot. Like he would go up on the mountain and he would pray to God. And so think about this. If Jesus went up on the mountain to pray, how much more do you think that we need to pray? So he's up there, he's praying. Disciples are in the boat. They're on the sea. And the wind gets up. And it's starting to be really windy. Now, have you ever been, at the ocean and the wind gets up and you see the big waves? Well, that's what was going on. There was a lot of wind and it was hitting the boat. Well, we see Jesus, he had been up on the mountain. He was praying for a while. And early in the morning, guess what? He starts to walk on water. Well, we see the disciples in the boat. They see this and they think, oh, it's a ghost. Who is that? And so Jesus knew that they were afraid, that they were terrified. And he said, it is I. Don't be afraid. And then there's Peter, one of the disciples. And he said, Lord, if that's you, have me come to you. And so guess what? Jesus said, come. And so Peter gets out of the boat and he starts to walk on water. Can you imagine what the other disciples are like? Oh, there's Peter. He's walking on water. So Peter's focused on Jesus and he's starting to walk on water. But guess what? The wind is up and he starts to be afraid. Then he sinks. And he said, Lord, save me. And so Jesus took his hand, grabbed Peter's hand, and pulled him up. Then he said, you of little faith, you doubted. And then they got back in the boat. And those that were on the boat, they were amazed and they knew that he was the Son of God. Now, we are like Peter. We can be focusing on Jesus. Focusing on him. But then there's times when we don't focus on him. And just like Peter, he started to sink. Now, when we focus on Jesus, we know that he's going to be with us, that he protects us, that he keeps us safe, and we are in his presence. He's there with us. But sometimes when we don't focus on Jesus, we think we can do things on our own. But when we try that, a lot of times we fail. But when we focus on him, then he's there and he helps us. Now, you might be thinking, well, Justin, how can we be close to Jesus? Well, we can pray. We can read the Bible. You read the Bible with your family. And you can come to church. Now, I know you guys are at home watching this, but this is helping you grow in your relationship with Jesus. And so, those are ways that we can stay focused on him. By reading the Word, praying, coming to church, or watching this Team Kid video. So, let's stay focused on him. Let's stay focused on Jesus. And let's not be focused on other things. Because if we focus on those things, then guess what? Then we're not in his presence. We're not close to him because we're looking at other things. We're focused on those things. So, let's not be like Peter when he started to sink. Now, yes, I still have my life vest on. It's still here. So think about this life vest. When I have this life vest on, And when I'm swimming, in the lake or the pond, I know that if I get tired, guess what? I'm going to still be on top of the water. I'm going to be afloat. But if I didn't have this life vest on, then it could be bad. So a life vest is very good. But you know what? When we're focused on Jesus, He's going to be there with us in the bad and in the good times. He's there. He gets us through those times because we are focused on Him. So you can get with your family and you can read through the story again and you can talk through this story. So I just want to say that I miss you. I'm praying for you. And, oh yeah, I hope to see you soon. All right, now for today's craft, you all are going to be cutting out Peter and Jesus and the boat, because we talked about Jesus and Peter walking on water. So you can go to TusculumBaptist.org and print this out, and you can color it. You don't have to color it just like I did. And so I hope you have a great time doing this craft.